Sometimes May feels like a month on super speed. You know when you fast forward something and the voices get all squeaky, like in Alvin and the Chipmunks? Well, that's what May feels like. Between AP tests and awards nights and grading and grade reports and special senior gifts and everything else that gets packed into this month alongside the lilacs, life feels pretty busy. So it would help to have an easy, impactful way to celebrate AAPI Heritage Month. Am I right? Something you can do once and then easily refer back to without lots more research and prep. If you've been hanging out with me this year, you know that I shared a Black History Month classroom display, a Women's History Month display, and an environmentalism display in the last few months, and that those have been very well received. It's been so nice to see pictures and to hear from many of you that these have been making an impact in your classroom. So today I want to share a new display for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and kind of walk you through what's there and how you might use it. Are you ready? Let's do it. Hey there, I'm your host, Betsy Potash, and one-pagers, project-based learning, and choice reading are my jam. I believe in you, and my goal is to help you explore all the creative possibilities you dream of for your classroom. I'm an educator, a chocolate cake aficionado, a traveler who can't wait to get back to Barcelona, and the kind of mom who brings her own mini makerspace to her kid's classroom when she comes to volunteer. I know this for sure, creativity isn't always easy. As a creative teacher, you get parent calls you treasure, and plenty of sidelong comments you'd rather forget. But here's the bottom line. Creative education can ignite a spark in your students and change their lives forever. You and I know this. You're an innovator, and while it's sometimes hard, it's so worth it. So let's explore the world of creative education together. Welcome to the Spark Creativity Teacher Podcast. Okay, so for today's podcast, I'm going to strongly recommend that you follow the link in the show notes and go and actually see the display that I want to give you. If you're on my email list, then it's already dropped into your inbox, but you can also sign up for me to send it to you if you're not on my email list. It is basically a display that features work by wonderful AAPI creators, authors, poets, and all of their work is showcased on these small posters that say their name and a little bio of them, and then go by QR code to some dazzling piece of their work on the internet. So it might be like a movie trailer for one of their written works. It might be a poetry performance video. It might be their author website. It might be like a podcast interview with them on NPR. It just allows students to access through that QR code some little tip of the iceberg of their work, if you will, right? There's a lot more behind that one QR link, but this is just a way for students to be introduced to all these different authors and start to explore and see what's out there. Now, you can use these QR codes in all different ways. You can put the display up in your hallway and just let students explore on their own. You can work with your librarian and create a whole series of these displays in your library that stays up all year. You can put up the AAPI one, the Women's History one, the Black History Month one, the one that will be coming out for Pride Month next month, the one that will come out for Hispanic Heritage Month in the fall. You can have those be up all year long, or you can showcase them month by month. Now, if you want to go a little further than just putting it up in your classroom or your library or your hallway and letting students explore, you can also incorporate these resources, these QR code links and author bios in other ways. Say you have an activity going and you have a few early finishers. Well, hand them a tech device and send them over to the display and say, just like find an author that intrigues you and go check out their work. That's a great thing for them to do. Or maybe you have 10 minutes at the beginning of a class and you just need an activity. You put kids into groups of 3 or 4, have them choose one of the authors, check out the QR code, and then do like a 30-second presentation back to the class. Oh, here's what we found. Here's what this author is known for. You know, the trailer for their movie looks really cool. Now I kind of want to see it, etc., etc. You can also spotlight these authors in your choice reading materials with your First Chapter Friday program. There's a lot of different ways that you can use it once you take the time to print out the display aspects and throw them up on the wall. Then it's just like a resource that's always ready for you, early finishers, bell ringers, small group work, however you want to use it. Okay, so now I just want to quickly go through and spotlight a couple of the creators, authors that are featured in the display so you have a sense of what's there. I'm not going to go through all 10, but just to give you a little picture of it. The first one I want to talk about is Ken Liu, and his short story, The Paper Menagerie, absolutely blew me away. If you haven't read it, please, you have to read it. You're going to want to use it in class somehow. It won 3 major science fiction awards after it was published in 2011. It won the Hugo, the Nebula, and the World Fantasy Award, so I'm not the only one who loves it. And it explores the relationship between a mother and son from the perspective of the son. And when he's a little boy, his mother gives him these incredible origami paper animals. And she has like this great gift to fold paper in this intricate, beautiful way, dating back to the village that she comes from. And the animals come to life for him. And in the story, like they really come to life. They're living animals. It is science fiction. So they're these little paper creatures that become his close friends. But then as he grows up, he kind of sweeps his paper animals to the side, and he is trying really hard to blend in and feel more American with his peers. And so he kind of lets go of these paper animals that meant so much to him, and he kind of becomes distanced from his mother. And the story is beautiful. It's beautifully written. It completely had me sobbing. It may have you sobbing too. It's an amazing story. And through the QR code in the display, students can actually read the whole story, which is lovely. It's freely available online. Okay, another author that's featured is Amy Tan. Amy Tan, of course, is very well known for the Joy Luck Club, but she's written a lot of other books too, and she's given a lot of interviews and like really shared a lot about her process as an author, and about her life. And most recently, PBS has done this kind of huge television series on her life as an artist. And so the QR code takes students to watch kind of like a trailer for that series that talks more about her life and why she decided to be a writer, and what the original Joy Luck Club actually was. And it's very interesting video, and it could also take students further down a road to explore that PBS series, or it could take you in class, if you're interested in exploring that series with your students. Okay, another spotlight I'll put here. One of the display cards goes to Malala Yousafzai. And of course, she is the education activist who grew up in Pakistan and then was shot by somebody who was trying to silence her when she was a teenager. So she was speaking out for girls' education. Her father was speaking out for girls' education, and she was attacked for that reason. And it, rather than be silenced or hide, she became this huge international voice promoting girls' rights, promoting girls' education. She received the Nobel Peace Prize. And through the QR code link, students can actually see her acceptance speech for the Nobel Peace Prize. She has started this huge organization making change in the world. And I think she's such an amazing role model for students who would like to make change in the world, right? I mean, she was in a very difficult, horrendously difficult situation, and she has become this prominent activist, creating sweeping positive change for girls and women throughout the world. So yeah, it's just wonderful to be able to spotlight her and introduce more students to her story. Let's see. Next up, I'm going to talk about Malaka Gharib. I really enjoyed her graphic novel memoir that's called I Was Their American Dream. Her parents are Egyptian Muslim and Filipino Christian. She writes about coming of age in her graphic novel. She writes about her life in school. It's, as a student reading it, I think you can recognize so many things she's going through. If you've shared some of her experiences you can learn a lot about the experience of navigating through split identity and adjustment to different norms at school. It's a great graphic novel. I also think it's fun to connect students to the fact that she is a podcaster on Life Kit. So not only is she an author, but she's creating these multimedia pieces all the time for NPR. And that podcast is one that a lot of students might possibly enjoy, especially as they get older, because Life Kit takes on all kinds of challenges that young adults will face, like, financial stuff, how to buy a car, gosh, I don't even remember. Life Kit has little episodes about everything, all of these different issues that you face as you're figuring out adulthood. And so it's a nice podcast for students to know about. All right, then I wanted to mention George Takei. George Takei played Hikaru Sulu on the original Star Trek series. If you watched that show, like me, I was a big Trekkie when I was in high school. And he was really groundbreaking in that he was one of the few Japanese characters in the movie, film, TV industry at that time. But he and his family were placed in internment camps in the United States before he was ever playing the role of Sulu on Star Trek. And he wrote about that experience in his graphic novel, They Called Us Enemy. And students can check out that book. They can check out the review, see some excerpts from the graphic novel, and if they also, like Star Trek, kind of make the connection between a character that they've seen and his real life in the United States through his memoir. Okay, last but not least, I wanted to spotlight Gene Luen Yang. He's a graphic novelist who's worked on a lot of popular things in Hollywood that students will connect to, like Avatar and Superman. And he's also written several graphic novels. His graphic novel, American Born Chinese, was the first graphic novel to be nominated for a National Book Award ever. And it won the American Library Association's Printz Award. I really enjoyed his graphic novel called Dragon Hoops, which is about the basketball team at the high school where he was working as a teacher. And that basketball program went through a lot of ups and downs and had like very inspiring moments in it. The graphic novel really goes deep with like the life stories of the basketball players and the coaches and the environment of the high school. And I think especially for kids who love sports or love kind of inspirational stories, it can be a great hook read. It does have a little bit of mature language, but for older students, I think it's a great read. Okay, so that's just like a quick look at the kinds of multimedia and written pieces that are behind some of these posters in the display. Again, you just print out the cards. They're kind of small versions of the author bio posters and large versions, and you put it up on your wall, and then you can use it however you wish. Let students explore, do some small group stuff around it, do some bell ringers or early finishers. There are many, many options, and I hope it will be an asset to you during this very busy month of May. Thanks so much for joining me today. As usual, if you'd like to dive deeper, you can head to the show notes at nowsparkcreativity.com. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay creative.